Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to Live with KCXL with my belief in 3Ds, determination, dedication, and diligence, along with the grace of the Almighty. New Year is about to end. New Year, I said. This very year turning into New Year. So we are at the end of the year. The very end of the year, many of us think of resolutions. Many of us think of how better can we start with the new year. But then how better should we end this new year? We've got emotional problems. We've got financial problems. So there is this heart and the logic. We've got personal problems. We all are intuitive. That's what I don't know. So everybody, today our guest herself is intuitive. She's gonna tell us how to resolve our own intuitive self and help our own selves heal in order to become better us. With me, I have Rachael Abah. Welcome, Rachael.
Thank you, Casey. It's amazing
Rachael,
to be here.
You have to introduce yourself to the audience out there.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Rachael Abah. I am absolutely thrilled to be here, and I identify as an intuitive, as our illustrious host has mentioned, and I'm a courage mentor and a supreme spiritual guide, and I'm in the business of supporting other highly intuitive people become bold and feel seen and liberated to step into their full authentic selves in order to create tangible successes for themselves on their terms.
Wow, intuitive. First of all, I'd like to know, what does this very word intuitive mean?
Well, intuitive is, there are many ways that people, communicate with us and describe this, right? But for me, I'll tell you what it means for me. It is being in spirit and being completely in tuned with myself. And I've been described as having full spectrum sight, which, from a very early age, as my mother would later share, was that I was born with this like a spiritual guide, and I get intuitive downloads where from the spiritual realm. So I sit in this space between realms, between the spiritual and the physical, and I act as a bridge between the two. So as I'm speaking with someone, connecting with someone, or even thinking about someone, I actually hear audibly what they're not saying.
Oh, that's scary.
Which is why for many years, it's something that, and my mom said to me very early, she's like, Rachael, I know who you are, please keep that a secret.
Wow.
Because
keep that a secret.
Keep it a secret, keep it to yourself, and just use it as your own tool of navigating the world and keeping yourself, and just keep listening to the voice of God and, just navigate through life. And so I always use that gift as a way to navigate and a way to connect with people and a way to, find my path, like a GPS. Think of it as a spiritual GPS, emotional
So you
GPS.
are that GPS?
I believe I have that within me, and that's the intuition.
Wow.
Right. So, because sometimes, because it's almost like a lie detector, like a human. So it has many layers. And so part of that is not everyone feels comfortable with that because it's that idea of being seen. So when I was a little girl, I would literally look at you and you would feel as if I was looking straight, and I would be like unblinking, and I would look at you and you'd be saying something and you'd start checking yourself and you'd feel uncomfortable, and then you'd like just tell the truth.
Sometimes we don't want to show ourselves.
We hide. And this is what I learned very early, that, you come into this world and there's almost an unspoken commitment or agreement we make to lie. We're more comfortable in the lie. So I learned very quickly that I got into trouble speaking the truth.
Oh, look at that.
And I thought I was being helpful.
Yeah.
As a little girl, I'm like, no, but that's not what, and they'd be like, shh, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'd walk into rooms and conversations would just stop. I was like, oh, adults don't like.
So you're saying that you're born with this very...
Yes, I was born with it.
Okay.
It's a story that I only shared openly this year, like 2022. I was invited by a coach of mine, and she's like, no, Rachel, you're done hiding. You're going to go out there, and hence the Facebook Lives only started this year, where she's like, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to be seen.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And that revealing myself.
So this isn't spooky, everybody, okay? Halloween has just ended. But at the same time, what are we going to do right here? What are we going to discovering right here is that there are people like Rachel out there, okay, who can sense you. And once they sense what's inside you, at the same time, they can be of help to you in your healing process. If you are suffering, or even if you are not suffering, because at the end, we all want to be successful. Successful how? Successful first in our businesses,
Yes.
financially, monetarily, in our family lives. But then this real success, the real peace comes when you've got that happiness within.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you deal about,
Absolutely,
right?
that authenticity, right? And we hear this term a lot in transformation circles of being your whole and authentic self and being true to yourself and following your path and finding out your purpose, right? We hear, you know, this is not, you know, uncommon language. Yet, you know, what I've found in my work and in my own personal journey is that as we take that time to really get honest with ourselves, right? And connect to what do you want, right? What do you want? And it's not a selfish conversation, right? What do you want? What brings you joy? What lights you up? Because here's what I believe, that when we are in touch with ourselves and we're honest with ourselves, then who we are being, not just what we're doing in the world, but genuinely who we are being from that place of completeness and love, we now become medicine in the world. So whatever it is we're doing, right? Whatever vocation you're in, whatever career, whether you're a homemaker, how you are in your relationships, how you're being in your relationships as you interact with people, whether it's at the corner store, with co-workers, with your employees, your presence, your energy that you bring into every situation becomes medicine. You're received as being a healing energy in your environment, and people you become magnetic, right? And this is also reciprocal.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's different things we are hearing, right? So it would take lots of understanding in order to understand what you really are saying, because help is here, but then how would you really connect and relate to get that real help? First, my very first question, which I see here when I read your profile, is what is the real difference between being a coach and a mentor?
Well, a lot of these have crossover, right? There are a lot of people out there who, you know, you can become certified to be a coach, and coaches really are about the framework, right? So in terms of, you know, coaches have like a blueprint. They don't necessarily have to be the ones who have done the work, right? Like they're the ones who tell you, here's the plan, this is the system, step by step, this is how you get it done. Is it this camera or this camera?
Yeah, yes, you can watch at the TV,
Okay.
and then that's your camera, yeah.
And, you know, coaches are your step, and think of it almost like, you know, in a sports analogy as well. They're the ones who have the playbook, right? They can guide you along those steps of what works and what doesn't work, right? What can serve you depending on your goals. So they help you with like the goal setting and all of that.
Okay.
And they tell you, right, almost like ahead of you, they tell you, okay, here are the steps, follow them. And then there's a lot of, they measure, right? It's a lot of measuring and, you know, checking to see that you're hitting your, you know, your steps on your way. There are a lot of, so coaches tend to be more of that, accountability partner, right? They don't do it for you. They tell you how it gets done, right? Mentors are the ones who walk with you side by side. Many mentors already have like the lived experience as well. So they're able to draw from their own experiences to share with you, okay, when you hit that point, this is how you're going to feel. It's possible that you're going to, feel this way, but,
Wow. And then what's that very common myth about being a spiritual guide?
Well, a lot of people would assume that I'm like a medium where I talk to dead people or like I can, connect with your loved ones. And no, that's not what, think of it almost like a crossover, right? So because I'm highly intuitive and I can feel really deeply and I sense and I read between, it's almost like energy. I sense energies when something is heavy. So I could be talking to you and I'd be like, so how you doing, Casey? And you're like, oh, I'm great, life is great, and I'm getting downloads in my ear. It's usually like on this side where it's like,
let's do a small test on me. Come on, let's do that.
It's not like that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. No.
Let's give
for example, right? Before the show, we were connecting, right? So much so that we almost didn't make it here, and that is the connection where you now think you're just talking, but literally spirit is guiding the conversation to where your need is. And my job as a spiritual guide is to listen. It's to listen and to ask, with curiosity. I'll ask you questions, and think of it like a flowing river, right? Like a little stream. And you follow that stream, and the key here is not for me to always hold the cards of I'm the guide, and unless you talk to me, nothing will happen to you. Part of my role is to reignite and activate the voice within you. Same as I hear within me, right? So that is my role, but that is a tool that I believe each and every one of us has. People refer to it as like my gut feeling or my I had this like nudge, right? That's what we're talking about. So it's about amplifying that voice, because in our regular life that voice tends to get numbed and dimmed and oppressed, right? Whether it be from community, from family, from whatever the influences are, whether it be about our gender, about our whatever the messaging is. We learn from a very early age, like I did, to make ourselves small and to not trust that voice and to instead listen to the voices outside of us.
Wow.
Right. So.
Wow. So this is really wow, and I'm just so much dazzled myself that I really don't know that should I be really talking to her? She'll read me within and tell me what it is, who I am. Do I really want myself to be exposed? But then I do understand one thing, that if I really need help to succeed how? To conquer myself first, so that I can be ready in order to go out into the world and help other people with my services.
Yes, and it's the whole idea of being in service to others from a full cup, right? I talk about, and I heard this before, where we often think of, you're being in service and you're giving, right? And I love the idea of giving from an overflowing cup.
Wow.
Right? So that I'm giving not from the cup, but I'm giving from the saucer, right? Like you have a cup and a saucer, and everything, like who I am, I'm filling myself, right? I'm nourishing myself, I'm validating myself, I'm going out into the world, and I am living fully from that place of knowing who I am in my belief system of there's something bigger than me, right? I have a God. There's a divine order to things, right? And I'm here for a purpose, and I trust that I am here, and that is enough. And so from that space of knowing my legitimacy and knowing my power and knowing that it is not of me, but that which has created and runs through me, right? Now I am, think of yourself as almost like like, not even an avatar, but like, I'm an ambassador of the goodwill of God.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So when I come in that name, in that vein, in that power, it's not about me as Rachael Abah, right? Doesn't matter what titles or what accolades I have. My worthiness is grounded in something much bigger than me. So I come in with a sense of, I belong here, I can take up space, I have something to contribute that is of value, and truly believe that. And then I remain open and curious to, now God, tell me what that is in the next step. And I will listen. And in the next step. And so no matter what the optics are of, you cannot do this, you're not allowed to do this, people like you are not supposed to do this, I'm not listening to any of that, because I know of whom I am. Is essentially the key.
So Rachel, what is the most important personality trait someone would need to work in your industry?
Well, there are many, but I would truly say curiosity, and as I've touched on that before, curiosity, like a real, genuine interest in your environment, in people, right? Because if you're just bored and you could care less, and you're seeing clients and you're not invested at all in what is of benefit to them, then it becomes increasingly difficult to give from that overflowing cup, because even your cup is not full. Right? So I usually, recommend, leaning in with curiosity, and that always the path reveals itself, and people are wonderful.
Wow. That screen there in front, you'll be looking there, and because that's the audience, and we both are looking at you all, everybody. So Rachel, you look beautiful, isn't it?
As
so Rachel, another question. The three favorite questions people ask you, and why?
Oh my
But looking at the
goodness.
screen there, those are the people who are asking that.
People ask a lot of questions, right? People ask a lot of questions, and but what I tend to do is, there are questions that I actually ask, and the main one is, what do you want? Like, what do you truly want? And it's a question that sometimes throws people off, because how often do we actually stop to think, like permit ourselves to think what we want, right? So what do you want? And as you ask those questions, you peel the layers back.
Wow.
You'll get a few, like, surface things. So I want to be rich, I want to be that, I want to be, and then it's like, yeah, and then what? What do you want, right? So what do you want? And then another one is, who are you being? Right? Like, so for what it is you say you want, are you being that person? Right? And who would that person look like, be like? What would their activities be? Right? How would they spend their time? Who would they surround themselves with? These are the questions. Who are you being? And then the other...
But Rachel,
Yes.
let me just add this, and many people have these firewalls around them.
Of course.
They don't want somebody to, and then unless what I understand is, they break it themselves to allow somebody in.
You would have
Otherwise,
to.
you can't.
You would
Can
have to,
you
because
break
I
that
can.
firewall?
But that would be going against their free will. I would literally have to have permission.
But then that's where that's where you're
permission
gonna
to do that.
get them impressed of you. Impressed in the sense that otherwise they won't allow you to help them.
No, so the thing is, and this is what I've noticed in my experience, is that, I believe that God has given us free will, so that no one else can come in and override your firewalls, because those firewalls are there for a reason. Whether or not they serve you is a different story, but we, many of us, I would say most people, have experienced trauma in their lives, and we, move from a place of fear. We make a lot of decisions out of fear. And the whole idea, when you're looking at the transformation journey, the healing journey, it's all about feeling the fear and having the courage to be able to, like, in an active surrender, you put that down and say, I'm going to go for it anyway.
Right.
I'm going to allow myself to be seen. And it is uncomfortable. And it's finding that comfort in the discomfort. You know, there's no healing, there's no payoff, there's no benefit without taking that risk that can feel like a leap of faith and can feel like a type of death, right? It feels like a death because you're dying to your old self in order to be reborn and renewed in your new self that you're becoming. Because the life you're in right now and the life that you desire, there's a disconnect. Right? So there's no way you're going to remain in the same conditions, clinging to the same relationships, the same career, the same everything, your same health habits, right? And expect your ideal, highest, best life and best self. It's incongruent, right? So in order to reach and grab something new, there's a requirement to be able to trust and release in order to be able to reach beyond your comfort zone for something new. There's a saying, and I believe it was a guest that I had on the Supreme Leadership Summit that I've been doing. I believe her name is Michelle Allman Esdale, and she shared that we talk about getting out of the box, right? That this, box thinking, and that the instructions for that highest life that we want and to get out of the box thinking is actually written on the outside of the box, not on the inside. So it's that breaking out, feeling the fear, doing it anyway, and then getting the blueprint for your highest self.
I love it when you say that feeling the fear.
Feeling the fear.
Because unless see, fear is something you have to go through it in order to conquer it, correct?
And it's something that, this is what I'm learning, that fear is not what we think it is. Fear is a red flag that tells us that we're out of our comfort zone. And out of our comfort zone is not necessarily a bad thing. Out of a comfort zone is where the magic of our lives happen. This is what I call the realm of miracles, outside of our comfort zone. So if you're praying for something better, you're praying for something different than what you already have, your circumstances. Some people are praying for, to meet their dream partner, their ideal spouse, but they're still in the same habits, in the same circles, hoping that something different will happen. That just doesn't make any sense. So in order to get a different result, in order to create something else other than the same old, you are required and invited to be able to be.
Wow. So Rachel.
Yes.
This is something many people know, and despite being knowing, they don't know.
Knowing is no guarantee that you're going to do, yes.
So the terms are introvert and extrovert.
Oh my God.
Sometimes some people say, oh, I am an introvert. No, I'm an extrovert. I'm something in between.
Yes.
And many of us don't know who we really are. So introvert and extrovert. First of all, I would like you to tell us, are you one of those? And if so, what is the fine difference between both that you would term yourself as that? What's that?
So this
and who am I would like to know that too.
I ascribed to that as well, where I'm like, am I an introvert, am I an extrovert? And I've done like every quiz on the planet to tell you which one you are. And what I found was I'm actually on the cusp. Right? So I depending on the situation, I'm both an introvert and an extrovert. Right, for people who know me, I'm a courage mentor, bold. I'm out there, I'm outspoken. Because of my worth, I know in whom my value and my worth and my strength comes from. So I come across very much as an extrovert. However, I love my own company.
Wow.
I love being in my thoughts, in my just. Put me with the book. So I'm both. I can.
So you have a universe within you.
Within me, it is rich in here. There are characters, there are landscapes.
But extroverts don't have that?
No, they can too. It just means, in the most basic way, it's like extroverts get their energy from interactions with people and being out in the world and, being engaging this way, right?
Okay.
You know you're an introvert when being around other people and in like parties and crowds exhaust you. So essentially, it's where you're getting your energy, right?
So is it crowd or is it just that maybe one or two
interactions? No, like introverts tend to like the more intimate one-on-one because it's less jarring, right? It's less. It's really, when you look at it, I found that it's like more of an energy drain or an energy booster, right? So if the idea of going out to gatherings and parties and concerts and you're like, then chances are you're an extrovert. But for many, many years, because I was very much in my own world and very much I was like living under a rock, really, and I wouldn't like you'd invite me somewhere, I wouldn't go. So for that, I was leaning more into my introvert side. Doesn't mean that if you can pluck me out of my home under my, and put me in the middle of a crowd, you would swear that this was where I am. So it really, for me, it depends on where I find myself, and I find that I adapt to my I pivot.
So
and you would
have
never
you
know.
trained yourself to adapt? Because see, looking at your personality, you look very lively. You look a people's person. You look like
I told you.
Sit with people, and then you can be the center of the crowd.
I told you.
But then when you're telling us,
I'd be the one like dragging you into the middle of the dance floor to dance, put me in a party. But the moment I'm out of that party, I'm like. With like a cup of tea, right? You would never know. You would never know. So I'm both. I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp. But I do, now that I actually made a decision to come out and share my story and
see, we need you. We need people like you. You shouldn't be sitting in your shells.
Well, this is my
see,
my
there's
guide.
this thing, that pearl, that very pearl is in that shell deep down in the waters
bottom.
and the layers and layers, and you have to dive in. But then in order to get that pearl out, you need to open that shell and come out. Only then others can get that benefit,
was the
right?
invitation I got, and I had the courage to say yes.
When I saw you, right away I loved you. So you get this very rare in people, because yes, we are humans. Sometimes you see people and you get prejudiced or you don't like them for no reasons. There don't have to be any reasons to like or love somebody. This is for sure. But then I really truly believe that if you are loving somebody for no reason, or if you are or if you're hating somebody again for no reason, it is something within that person, that personality, that aura, which you feel in terms of vibes.
Yes.
That, I can't
energy.
connect to her.
You're talking energy. You're talking, which is exactly as an intuitive.
That's the word.
See, we have it within us. It's whether or not we listen to it, and there are ways we can amp that up so that it becomes it's right there with us, and because I use that as a filter for every interaction, every decision, I have a vision.
So the question comes to you is, let's say there is some person who is very opposite than your own personality, who's shelled, who's got firewalls around her or him, who does not want to talk. But then you are giving this challenge to go and heal that person.
They'll talk to me.
Don't?
They will.
They will?
They will talk to me.
How?
Well,
how
see,
do you
this
see
is
and then, yes, we spoke about prejudice. Sometimes, see, you're a human too. We all are humans. Sometimes you find out that people just don't like you.
Yes.
Especially your clients.
And this is what I've learned. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay. How?
It has nothing to do with me because it's about the stories they've created in association with me. So they might meet me and they'll be like, oh my goodness, she's a woman, she must be less than me, right? She must be, I don't know, gossipy, lazy, whatever it is that they've decided a woman is, right? And I thought you were whatever the judgment is, right? But then it's like I'm struggling with this because I want to not like you.
Yes.
But every reason I have not to like you doesn't match with who you're being.
Wow. So Rachel,
then they become conflicted.
Sorry, Rachel. The thing here is what you mentioned right now. We often hear this saying, I don't judge.
Oh, yeah, you do.
If you ask me, I really and truly believe that judging is a divine quality. It's not humanly. Okay? So, judge.
Yes.
Do you judge people? Should we judge people?
So this is the thing. Judgment in and of itself is not a negative thing. Like we make judgments every day, right? We use our best, whatever data we have in front of us, to make a judgment in order to know what the next thing is, right? When you now use that judgment to oppress somebody else, to make them less than, to sabotage them in order for you to come out on top, that's where the issue comes up. So that's where judgment becomes an issue, when you're now playing judge, jury, and executioner. We're not called to do that. That's way above your pay grade, because you don't have the big picture, right? You're not all seeing, all knowing. So all you can do is moment to moment, keep your mind open. So you come in, you see someone, you meet them for the first time, and you have your portfolio of ideas based on what you think you know about other people who this person reminds you of or looks like, right? Then, based on that, you now remain open and actually see what that experience is with that person legitimately. Like this person, not your preconceived ideas. That's why it's called preconceived. It's not conceived now. It's like from before. So you're bringing baggage into this particular situation. So the invitation now is for you to remain open to actually receive new data. Judgment becomes an issue when you're not taking in new intel.
Wow. So on your profile, I read this very term. See, we need to educate ourselves. Transpersonal therapy, right?
Yes.
You do that?
Yes.
So therapy.
Yes,
means
my training.
What does transpersonal mean?
Transpersonal means beyond the personal, beyond this. So the idea that
is that spiritual?
It does have a spiritual element, because it does take into account a human being as a whole being. So we're not only our bodies, right? We're not only our minds, right? So transpersonal means beyond the physical. So you're looking at a person as being mind, body, and spirit. Because there's some issues, like, I often deal...
La la. mind, body.
Mind,
and
body,
the spirit
and
within
spirit,
the
right?
soul.
So you're looking at it, because what I found was with a lot of traditional therapies, and they're fantastic. I've been in therapy myself, which is a prerequisite for, getting, being certified as a psychotherapist. Part of that, because there are things that we know this. We know this now, and the data supports
So
it.
you are a certified psychotherapist?
Well, I did the training, but in my, when I was going through this training, I wasn't thinking, I'm going through this training to become a psychotherapist. I was doing it because I was curious. I was doing it because I wanted to heal myself.
Wow.
Right? I wanted to get to know what my traumas were.
Yes.
Right? And also at the time, in the relationship I was in at the time, I'm like, I want to get as much information and support necessary so that I could be a more effective spouse.
Wow.
I could be a more
I want to read
person.
this from your own profile, and we are, 1 hour passed. So we are close to the time to end.
Oh, wow.
Transpersonal, here it says on Rachel's profile, and I'm going to read out to you all, and then she's going to explain. And you can call us also, everybody. The phone number is flashing there if you want to call Rachel at this moment. So what she mentioned was, with the therapy, what really she does is she addresses mental, physical, social, emotional, please correct me if I'm wrong, creative and intellectual needs. And the emphasis is on the role of a healthy spirit, correct?
Correct.
In healing. So to facilitate the healing, what Rachel really does is she helps in growth and it's honesty, open-mindedness, and self-awareness on her part to help you come out of your own comfort zone, feel comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yay.
This is what happens when you sit
love
with
it.
somebody
I
else
love
and you
it.
get
Oh my
together.
goodness. That makes my heart so glad.
See, that's how you learn.
It's amazing. You remain open, and which is why when you were mentioning earlier about someone who comes in and they're very closed and they're very shut down, right? And they're very much in this story and very much in victim mindset. This is where the mindset comes in of, okay, are you being your story or are you being your full authentic self?
Yes.
And the first thing is, that the idea of feeling safe, right? When you feel safe, when you feel seen, and when you feel heard, without judgment, because I emphasize that in my work, in my practice, that when I feel safe and heard, right? And not judged in the oppressive sense of, you being less than, then I am more inclined, whether or not it's conscious, to open up. Like I have total strangers like telling me all kinds of stuff, right? Because I'm curious enough to ask. So I ask you, how you doing? Oh, I'm great. So how are you really? And I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you and I'm reading your energy.
Don't do that.
And then next thing you know, it's like, it all starts like there. Right? And so I truly believe that, who wouldn't want to feel amazing? Who wouldn't want to experience joy? Who no, I want to be sad. No, at some point in time, you get that nudge of, I want this, but I don't know if it's okay. I want this, but I don't know if it's safe. Like, we don't want more trauma, right? So when you find yourself in a conversation, in company of people where using your discernment, listening to your inner voice, you will feel the fear, but something will tell you, but try it. And then you listen to, and I'm there holding space for you and the energy, and I'm pouring into you.
Oh my God, I think we need one more show in order to understand what Rachel really means.
Love.
Rachel, it's just, we are at the end of our 5 minutes of our show. Tell us, for my clients out there, for the people out there, if anybody comes and seeks help from you, what are your benefits?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Go on my website. Honestly, we've touched on it here in terms of the benefits. I mean, you're talking about, the idea of the boldness and using your voice and feeling that courage piece of being able to, the idea is not to overcome fear, right? You're breaking through and you're transcending. So even when you feel the fear, you go for it anyway because you trust the process, you trust the step you're in. Benefits can be, literally, you can experience it in terms of clarity, right? In terms of your focus. You become more clear-minded, you start to trust yourself. You start to, branch out of your comfort zone and connect more deeply in your relationships, right? These are the things, every aspect of your life, it's not pigeonholed because you're the common denominator in your life. Right? So as you become more joyful, you start to trust yourself, you become more curious about your life and experiencing new and different things, you start to get a different result. You start to magnetize new and different experiences to yourself. Opportunities open up and you have the ability to be able to recognize them. You become more discerning, right? And you become the architect of your own life. And so the idea of, creating a dream, you become your dream. That's the idea. You're the one you've been waiting for. You are the one you've been waiting for. So how do you tap into that?
It's you who can change you, everybody. It's you who can change you. I'm going to read it in bullet points what she said right now. So in order for us to make it more easy to understand. So she's not limited, but this is where she can improve you on. It's health and fitness goals, mental health and well-being, trust, self-esteem, intimacy, relationships, interpersonal communication, focus, productivity and income generation.
Yes,
that's the good
mindset.
part. There you go. So we are near to end. Tell us that one thing, Rachel, that people often you'd be remembered for. People remember you for that one quality of yours.
Oh my goodness. That people remember me for?
Yeah.
Well, it's how they feel in my presence. That's what people
Awesome.
remember.
The way you feel right now, I'm feeling awesome. Awesome in every sense. I'm feeling elated. So your very tagline says, supporting highly intuitive and creative women feel worthy, bold, and free to become their dream. Why only one?
Why only one what? Dream?
Why only women?
Why only
Don't you
women?
help men?
No, I do help men as well, but because I'm a woman and this is my, this is the avatar I'm in this life, I find most of my clients are actually women. Most of my clients are the ones who are struggling with that idea of playing small and quieting their voice and these feelings of unfulfillment and depression.
So
and
that one line, tell them that why should they come to you? Because we are almost to the end now.
Well, why you should come to me? Well, I wouldn't say should come to me, but here's why I invite. You have to. No, it's that I am here to support you in becoming whatever it is that you have that longing in your heart. And I'm here to support you in breaking. Essentially, what a client said to me was, you're here to help me get myself out of my own way.
Oh my, that is lovely.
Yeah.
You want to get out of your own way?
Get out of
what
your own
beautifully
way.
said. My God, I love it. Then that's where Rachel stands. Rachel herself, what does she really? She helps, she being herself intuitive. She tells those intuitive and creative people, what is she going to do? She's going to make you bold. She's going to make you seen. She's going to make you embody courage and live free. Live free to attain your dream. Rachel, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you today at Live with KCXL on PTN 24. There are these diverse audiences watching us. If you have any questions, feel free to call Rachel. I'm going to put her number out there. At the same time, we end the show with one next year's any resolution you would for my audience out there.
A resolution that I would recommend for them?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Like literally take that step and just look at yourself in the mirror and make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment to trust. Make a commitment to elevate yourself and be open to limitless possibilities.
Awesome. It can't be said more beautifully than this. Thank you very much and thank you for having us and stay tuned for the next guest next week. Thank you, everybody.